Good evening, wrestling fans. Welcome to Evolution of Pro Wrestling. I am your host, Louis, the Encyclopedia of Pro Wrestling.
And I'm Jay, the Whiz Kid of Pro Wrestling.
Hey, what an introduction. Here we are, fans. We are back. Excuse me, I'm just fixing my camera a little bit here. Let's just fix it up. All right. Thank you, wrestling fans, for joining us. We are back after 2-week hiatus, so, with Thanksgiving and everything like that going on. Yeah. But we are happy to be back.
Yep.
And we are back, Jaden, with a bang.
Definitely.
Especially breaking news happening today. Jeff Hardy released from the WWE. That was a shocker today. Apparently something happened. No, you're not late. We just started. Don't worry about it. We just started. You're on time. Today, WWE released Jeff Hardy. Apparently, there was an incident that happened at an event, a house show, that apparently Jeff Hardy looked slushed. And he wasn't looking too good. But apparently some fans said he was fine. Some fans says he was grabbing his stomach. A lot of conversation, a lot of speculation has been happening. Jaden, what is your thought on this WWE release?
Honestly, that is very shocking, knowing that Jeff Hardy has officially been released from WWE. He's made, a lot of things possible, things like TLCs and a whole bunch of other things like that. And he's been in the company for so long, so it's honestly crazy to see him go the way he did. To get released, matter of fact.
No, see, getting released. But the reason supposedly behind the release is that WWE offered him help, and he refused it, so they let him go. Now there was a tweet that his wife had sent to. Apparently, that was on her tweet. Jaden, read that tweet that she sent today.
Okay, so basically it's not a long tweet, but basically the tweet was, Jeff is good, we are good, post that you heard that, thanks. And her Twitter account is obviously private, or her social media account is private, but that is what she said. She was stating that Jeff is okay, they're both okay, and she said post that you heard that. So basically she was trying to say he was good. Now, I don't know if she was saying that to
Alex, the professor for wrestling. I like that.
I don't know if she was trying to cover up for
that's the thing, that some people are speculating that Matt and his wife are covering up for Jeff Hardy, but nobody knows. We can't speculate. We can't speculate what's going on.
He's actually going.
If he's going through an issue, we don't know if his demons return,
or we don't know if he's actually.
Listen, he was a big part of the WWE when he was definitely a big part, and it's a shame that he had to go that way. We don't know the circumstances of what happened with this issue. We wish him luck. And we hope that if it is that issue, he will get some help. But to me, I think is that WWE screwed up when they added that storyline of him and Sheamus, with him drinking in a bar and doing a whole bunch of stuff. That to me, that just brought back demons.
I agree.
You know what I mean? And it's like, Ken says, you heard that first from me, huh? I'm not sure, but if we did, that's fine. Point is, the fans found out that Jeff Hardy got released. John Bryan, what's going on, brother? But it's something that we didn't want to see, but it happened.
It happened.
And anything with everything going on in professional wrestling right now, you don't know what's going to happen next. And it's just, I don't know what else to say, But I wish Jeff Hardy the best of luck.
Me too.
We all, from Evolution of Pro Wrestling, we wish Jeff Hardy the best of luck. But
there's a rumor going around that he faked it so he can get out of his contract so he can go to AEW.
It's a possibility.
That is possible.
That's what I said. There's speculation. There's speculation, and nobody knows.
You say that,
nobody knows.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him on AEW.
Listen, I would like to see him in AEW. I would like to see him in AEW because he's still a hell of a talent, no matter what.
Agreed.
But on to other news, Jaden, that Johnny Gargano and Kyle O'Reilly are officially gone from the WWE.
Yes.
Their contract is over. They did not resign. Where are they going to go?
AEW.
Where is their next step?
No,
but there's other companies there. There's AEW.
But let's be honest. The hottest, besides WWE, the hottest company right now is AEW.
Of course.
That's what everyone talks about.
But that's what they're talking about, that with these guys, as talented as they were, they didn't want to go to the main roster because they knew Vince McMahon was going to destroy them in the main roster. But, Vince McMahon is notorious for stuff like that. With many people that have come up from NXT, he has destroyed their character completely,
big time.
And it's just a shame that you can't take talent like that and just ruin them. And it makes no sense to me.
It doesn't make.
And Johnny Gargano and Kyle O'Reilly are amazing talent. You know what I mean?
Agreed. He might.
And yes, and that's it. That is a possibility, Brian, that O'Reilly might possibly go to AEW and follow Cole and Fish. And that would be an excellent addition to AEW.
I agree.
But only time will tell. They still got to take a break. They're going to take a break to see what they're going to do. And speaking of leaving WWE, apparently, despite a push for this man, for Kevin Owens, he is done with the WWE.
That's crazy.
He is no longer getting exactly. There's many possibilities, and it's amazing where this talent can go. Kevin Owens, I want to see him in AEW. I personally want to see him in AEW. I'm telling you right now, he will set the bar like no other in AEW.
Most definitely.
The rivalries this man can have with Andrade, Chris Jericho, who else? Cody Rhodes, Malachi Black.
A whole bunch of people.
Like
that
would be awesome. That would be awesome with Kevin Owens in AEW. You know what I mean? But when you talk about the WWE, apparently there is a rumor going around. I don't know how true this is. That Nick Khan will be taking over when Vince McMahon steps down.
Nick Khan,
he is one of the chief operators in WWE. He's the one that is cutting all this talent. He's the one doing the releases. So imagine him taking over WWE. How WWE is going to go. Yes, KO versus Bryan Danielson.
If they let him take over, I really don't know if WWE will have a clear
Listen,
future.
WWE is in trouble.
They need to let Triple H take over the business.
See, he's in charge of finances.
Yeah, they need to let the man that they need to let take over the show is Triple H.
Listen, Triple H should have been taking over WWE.
Agreed.
But before we continue, fans, feel free to share, like, and comment on our post. Share it all over. Bring everybody into this conversation. Top news in professional wrestling, along with our topic of the night, legit rivalries in professional wrestling. Let's continue. So yes, Nick Cannon is possible that he will be taking over Nick Cannon. That he will be taking over professional wrestling. Yeah. I don't know how, but yes, Triple H is not
healthy enough for that stress. I feel like if he was to get That's
what I'm saying. But there's a difference though. If Vince McMahon is not in the picture, that would be easier for him to actually take over professional wrestling.
Look how good Triple H was doing with NXT.
No, not NXT was not Nick Cannon.
Nick Cannon.
Nick Khan. I'm sorry. Oh man, just NXT. Is anyone watching NXT? NXT is. It's not the same. NXT is slowly getting
Nick
destroyed.
Cannon taking over.
Nick, listen. NXT is getting destroyed. They're slowly losing credibility. Come on. It's not. Since Vince McMahon took over, it's not. Braun Breaker, he's definitely good. But what is he gonna do if he goes to the main roster? Exactly, it's a bust. It's a bust because Vince McMahon took over it. So what do we expect to happen? Come on. AEW is not gonna win the war.
Nah.
Now
WWE is not gonna win the war.
Well, WWE, exactly. WWE NXT is not gonna win the war.
No.
So and I mentioned AEW, see, because I'm thinking about AEW because of what happened days ago. MJF.
I could see that too.
MJF and CM Punk. Holy shit. When I mean you got a promo, a shoot promo, I say by far that was one of the best promos I've ever seen from both men.
Agreed.
Personal. Like legit personal jabs. Excuse me, guys. Personal jabs to each other.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow! Like, they ain't pull no punches in that promo.
They did not pull no punches
at all. They didn't pull any punches in that promo. Like, come on. He mentioned that he is a bootleg version of the Miz, and
they was just going at it. With
like, they were throwing bombs.
Yeah.
It was pipe bombs.
They wasn't holding back, like you said.
Like, oh my god! Like, it was amazing the way that promo
MJF
went.
is the number one heel in the business.
Absolutely,
I agree.
Absolutely.
Agree.
Besides Roman. I said it's a toss-up between those two.
I agree.
It's kind of a toss-up because Roman has definitely improved.
Most definitely. I feel like that's all he needed
in his promo skills. So I got to give him that.
But listen, let's all agree on something. Honestly, this is just my opinion, but everybody can disagree with this or agree. If Roman was to ever get released from WWE, WWE is officially over. Like, WWE, there is no more competition for WWE. If Roman Reigns was to get released from WWE, there would be no more competition.
Listen, absolutely not.
Because he's the hottest. He's the hottest thing.
He is the reason why people are still watching wrestling. To be honest, yes, I respect the Drew McIntyres and the Brock Lesnar's and everybody else, but he is the one that's putting asses in the seats. And you could tell you're doing your job when the fans are getting on your nerves. When the fans are getting on your nerves and talking shit to you, you know that he's doing his job.
Yet, when the fans legitimately don't like you,
when they want to fight you for real,
you're doing your job.
You're doing your job,
right?
You know for a fact.
Roman is Vince's baby. He is the modern day Hogan. In this day and age, you're absolutely right.
Of course.
In this day and age, yes. In the 21st century or in 2021. That's exactly.
Yes, he sure is.
That is exactly.
But a heel version of Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? And that's what people fail to understand when it comes to that. But when you talk about AEW's heel and WWE's heel, what's going on with the ratings? The ratings up and down for both companies. Like, they're supposed to be going at it with each other, but they're losing fan base. Why is that, Jada? Why do you think that's happening?
I mean, look at what's going on. I mean, honestly speaking, nobody really talks. It's kind of sad.
Roman is running out of opponents. So what are you gonna do? I'm telling you, I keep saying it. These guys screwed up when they stopped giving the push to Cesaro. Cesaro would have been the perfect person to beat him, to end his reign.
Cesaro's still in the WWE.
Of course he is, but they got him in a rivalry with Sheamus now.
He needs to go.
Why? He already had one already.
Exactly, and they were.
Like, come on, that's why ratings are going down because of nonsense like that. Honestly, AEW too. To me, AEW is
Killer Cross.
AEW they have too many factions. You gotta put something out there. You gotta put
WWE, Dad.
You talking about AEW?
You talking about
AEW has too many factions.
AEW has too many factions, but look at how much talent is coming.
No, I understand that. No, I understand that. But that's what I'm saying.
I feel like no. Honestly,
they need to focus on tag team and single matches.
Honestly, I feel like AEW is doing the right thing though, because you also gotta understand AEW is not a company from like 1950 or like 2013. AEW is almost a new thing.
So this brings us to another news that we want a question per se. Right now, who has the better product? AEW or WWE?
I feel like AEW has the better product.
Okay, and why is that?
I mean, like I said, AEW is more like a modern day. I wouldn't really say exactly. I wouldn't really say Attitude Era, but the AEW is that company.
No, absolutely, Earl. Absolutely, they factions do at least keep lesser known guys on TV. You're absolutely right. But when you got in a certain amount of factions, you got way too many. That kind of kills the vibes of factions. You know what I'm saying?
That's true, but Dad, you got to think about it.
Yes, AEW does have better storylines for sure. This Seth Rollins character. Yes, it goes with him. It's getting old, but come on, you got to do something different. You got to do something different.
Seth Rollins is my favorite wrestler too. But
like the same person that came up with the Bloodline storyline should create something on Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw is supposed to be the flagship bearer show, but SmackDown's kicking their ass, and Roman dissed them.
You also gotta think about it this way too when it comes to factions, Dad. There's also, like I said, there's a whole bunch of new talent coming in. So let the factions be factions. That gives the newcomers a time to shine. So like with Bryan Danielson, when he first came, like his second match was probably one of the best AEW matches, possibly one of the matches of the year. CM Punk, he just came back to wrestling, and look at the type of matches and promos he got going on.
So listen to this comment. Brian says, AEW was created to dominate the indies. WWE will always be prime, but good things always come to an end. Eventually, I see AEW on top eventually.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Happy Corbin. That's a good question. Happy Corbin, I'd say he's great talent. Excellent talent, but he screwed himself over back then and he lost his push. He would have made champion. He would have made an amazing heel champion. But they just, all that stuff they were doing, he was running out of money, and then put him as Happy Corbin. He won everything. I'm glad they did it that way because that was just getting old. This is what I'm saying. WWE needs to come up with storylines that we know the fans are going to like. The New Day. What's going on with the New Day? You got them going. Yes.
I didn't really understand what the point of breaking them up just to put them right back together.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Big E is not with them.
But that's what I'm saying. I still don't understand like what's going on with the New Day. Like, it's just, I still feel like they need to make Big E a heel. Like,
no,
Big E said it himself.
Absolutely.
He wouldn't mind being a heel.
He would not mind being a heel.
I would really like to see Big E become
and you go from
a
there.
heel.
That's it.
I feel like that would bring up a little bit of WWE's ratings.
Absolutely.
If they were to make Big E a heel, excuse me, that could definitely bring up WWE's ratings a little bit.
They don't know, but that's what I'm saying. Like Brian said, they don't know what to do with him. He's champion, but they don't know what to do with him. Better know that. Listen to Big E. Big E would really, really be good as a heel. I don't know, man. It's the old day. Yep, TNA was the same. TNA definitely was the same, and look what happened. So come on, you gotta think outside the box.
You do gotta think outside the box.
Now, getting off this little topic, I'm sorry, we're changing direction. We want to talk about an update on Jim Ross's cancer. He's been taking some treatment, as many of you do or do not know. Jim Ross was diagnosed with cancer, skin cancer. He is recuperating. He is going through some treatment. But we wish him the best of luck. You know, great fight. Go to it, Jim Ross. And also, on some good news, Hacksaw Jim Duggan beat cancer. He no longer has cancer. He is cancer free. Thank God for him. God bless him that he is no longer he no longer has cancer. You know, he's cancer free. Thank God for that.
Right.
And on a more sadder note, the passing of Blackjack Lanza. From the Blackjacks, he teamed up with Blackjack Mulligan. He was an excellent tag team partner. They were a great tag team, and it's sad that he's gone. Agreed. But he will be missed, and he's a legend. He's definitely a legend. Yes, JR is doing well. Radiation is almost done.
We pray to him. Actually bring that up, Bray Wyatt.
Yes, Bray Wyatt. There is speculation due to the flickering in a match in AEW.
The red lights
that Bray Wyatt is going to appear in AEW. But wait a minute. But one of our experts for our Evolution of Pro Wrestling group confirmed also that Bray Wyatt still has merchandise in WWE shop. So what's going on? Is he going to AEW? Is he staying with WWE?
This could be a very weird. Listen, I know this is probably a real long shot. But what if it's a WWE invasion?
You know what?
What if Bray Wyatt decided to invade AEW?
Listen, this
is a long shot.
That would be the best thing that WWE and AEW can do.
It's just a theory.
If you will merge companies or just do business just for an invasion storyline, you will make so much money you have no idea.
It was just a theory, but I feel like
that's true. What's next? That's a good question. I haven't heard about Alexa Bliss. What is?
I haven't heard from her in a while.
Apparently, she was out with an injury that she sustained a long time ago.
Invasion 2.0.
Yeah.
If they were to really do that, that would be really good.
Well, okay. According to Alex, also our expert here, he is apparently Wyatt will be appearing as Wyndham in AEW.
Wyndham.
And yes, she still is hurt. She has not recuperated yet. Hopefully, she will be back soon.
You know who we have not heard in an awfully
Asuka. Asuka has not been in WWE in a hot minute. I'm not sure what's going on with her too.
You know who I think we're all waiting to return to wrestling? Ronda Rousey.
Well, Ronda Rousey. We have
not seen her in a while.
Yeah, she's been MIA for a while.
She
but
has very long.
Yeah, it's gonna be epic, and that wouldn't be bad, Earl, for him to come with his brother. That would be amazing. Oh man, I can't wait to see what happens. So
me too.
But the time has come, wrestling fans, for our topic of the evening. Many of you see them in the ring. Many of you see them outside the ring, but you don't know what goes on. Legitimate rivalries inside and outside the ring. We mean real beef, like
legitimate beef
that these guys did not like each other. They fought. They argued. They did everything. Well, AEW, definitely still got to pay them bills, of course. You know what I mean? No matter what. Curtis Axel, I don't know. I don't know where Curtis Axel is. He's probably still in the indie scene.
I have not heard of Curtis Axel.
Curtis Axel,
while.
Well,
I haven't heard of Curtis Axel since Backsoul was a thing.
Yeah, pretty much. I
haven't heard of him since then.
But when you talk about a rivalry, Jaden, what comes to mind? A personal rivalry in professional wrestling.
A personal rivalry. I mean, you pretty much explained it. You know, when you really think of a personal real beef rivalry, you know, you think of a lot of arguing. You think of more physical matches. You just think of a lot of things.
Well, see, there's the first one that comes to mind to a fan. Bradley Day, Brett versus Shawn. That was a long
beef.
And legitimate beef between those two.
I mean, hey, look at the Montreal Screwjob.
Oh man, we're gonna get to that in a few in this show.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There's many of them, but actually no. Let's start that off. Brett and Shawn. Let's start that off. Brett and Shawn Michaels. These two go back, and I'm talking about Heart Foundation and the Rockers.
Oh yeah.
And with those two, they legitimately did not like each other. They were always trying to one up on each other. Shawn was Intercontinental Champion.
That's because
Brett was Intercontinental Champion.
Was like both the
Brett was WWE Champion since 1992. Yes, since 1992, those two had a beef.
It was also, the beef was even bad too, because both of them had really big egos.
Oh
at the time.
Absolutely.
Both of them had the biggest egos, and they did not want to lose. They
had egos that nobody was able to foresee. And what they did was that, yes, Cheeky and Invader had been at each other, but of course, Cheeky and Invader from World Wrestling Council,
yep,
they also had a hell of a rivalry. They actually had a legitimate rivalry that they couldn't stand each other.
They could not.
And remember we discussed the history of World Wrestling Council.
Yep.
The fans looked at them like, shit, this is real. I'm gonna throw something.
Real.
This is what's going on. They're kicking the shit out of each other, you know? And that's what happened. But it was insane the way these rivalries went. You know, Roman Reigns had rivalry with what's his face? Enzo. Enzo Amore.
For real?
He threw him off the tour bus because Enzo didn't know how to shut his mouth, and they literally threw him off the tour bus. Yes, Vader and Hogan too, because apparently Hulk Hogan wasn't happy the way Vader was portraying the villain. And they had a legitimate argument backstage, and that's what caused Vader's departure from WCW to go to the WWE.
Wow.
You know? And then
Enzo had beef with everybody.
Exactly. He had beef with everybody. He had beef with everybody. Look, another one. Bradley Day says Perfect and Brock Lesnar. Yes, they fought on air. They fought in the airplane. In the Plane Ride from Hell documentary, they fought. They said I spoke Cheeky recently, and he really does not like Invader. No, he does not like him at all. That's how much the beef would last. Those two didn't like each other, and they still do not like each other. I even seen the show about that. They couldn't stand to be around each other when I first went to that show, and it was crazy.
Hardcore Holly and Brock.
Yes,
I did not know
because
that.
Brock broke his neck. Legitimately broke his neck. He dropped him on his head. And Hardcore was out for a long time. It was a long time. So look at all these rivalries coming up. Hogan and Macho Man, they hated each other. You know
Miz
that.
And then, Hogan and Macho Man, definitely. We were just talking about this a few shows ago.
Yeah, they couldn't stand each other.
They couldn't stand each other. Miz and Daniel Bryan. Yeah. They did have a real beef. They had a real beef
because Miz, at that time, Daniel Bryan used to put the Miz down.
Okay, see,
back and forth.
Edge and Lita was actually legitimate beef. Too.
Yes, and Matt Hardy and Edge definitely had beef because he cheated on her.
Exactly.
She cheated on him, and it was a whole shitload of things that was going on.
That was legitimate beef too.
And pretty much Matt Hardy wanted to whip his ass.
And Savage, Macho Man and the
Warrior they had beef too because Warrior had beef with everybody. Warrior didn't know how to act.
I mean, that's because he probably didn't work well with others.
No, he did not work well with others. He didn't work well with others at all. Another rivalry that happened personally backstage was Batista and Booker T. Those two actually fought backstage. You know, Batista came out with a black eye. That was the punch that Booker T gave him.
Booker T. Oh my god!
And the reason behind that was because Batista was pretty much trying to get to his head that he had this ego because he was the world champion and he was over everybody. You know what I mean? And yes, Jake the Snake and Savage. Savage had beef with people too.
Savage had, yeah.
But this one I remember because, Batista got his ass kicked. You know what I mean? With Savage and him,
Austin and Booker T.
Yes, they did because Booker T was fresh in the WWE, and Austin, he was the top dog.
He was the top.
So
guy.
he didn't. Booker T wasn't known back then,
right?
Until he finally made his name in the WWE,
right?
But eventually they got over it. They did business, and they fought. Yes, Perfect and Brock Lesnar, plane ride from hell. They fought. Brock Lesnar got beat down. Well, I wouldn't say beat down, but he got beat down.
He got beat down.
He
didn't win.
No, he didn't.
He did not win. That's what we can say.
Here's one rivalry that I know you guys would definitely know, and it's still going on to this day. Vince Russo and Jim Cornette. Those two, without a shadow of a doubt, cannot stand each other.
There's still a lot of people that can't stand each other.
They hate each other, legitimately hate each other. To this day, Jim Cornette blames Vince Russo for the death of Owen Hart. Yes, Brian, exactly. They really legitimately hate each other.
Rephrase that one more time.
Jim Cornette blames Vince Russo for the death of Owen Hart.
Vince Russo was the guy.
He was the one in the Attitude Era. He was the writer in the Attitude Era. Nobody likes Cornette. Absolutely not. Because Jim Cornette is he's a wrestling holic. He loves wrestling. He breathes. He sleeps everything wrestling. And that's what he does. And he has a lot of enemies. Paul Heyman is another one that made a lot of enemies on the way. Jerry Lawler and him, they had a rivalry back then. When Jerry Lawler legitimately broke his jaw with a fist. Because they did a scaffold match. And he said he couldn't go on. After all the promos, after all the stuff that was going on, he didn't do it. And
I would have been mad too.
And then there was another rivalry that happened between the British Bulldogs and the fabulous Rougeau brothers. That one of the Jacques Rougeau, knocked the teeth out of Dynamite Kid. Like legitimately, bang, just snuffed him. Like they had a legitimate beef. I'm like, oh man.
Well, remember when Roddy Piper shoot on Vince Russo and
exactly. It was on TV. Many people to this day blame Vince Russo for his death. We don't know that. We don't know what happened. We can't speculate that. We wasn't there that day.
Who is Vince Russo?
He was the one. He was the writer in Professional Wrestling Attitude Era.
Okay.
He was a big part in the writing of what was going on.
Okay.
But the brains behind it was definitely Vince McMahon.
Of course.
Yep, Randy Orton and that Indian news reporter. A news reporter called Randy Orton fragile. Randy Orton is fragile. Called me fragile again. He took his glasses off, threw it on the floor, and stomped on it. And then he said, "Call me fragile again. I will headbutt your teeth through your throat." Like he really wanted to kick his ass. The same thing. Yes, Andy Kaufman and Jerry Lawler was another one. New Jack versus the World. New Jack hated everybody. New Jack was that crazy ECW guy.
I remember him. New Jack, yeah.
But one also rivalry that comes into mind to me, which to me will always stick to my mind. Mr. T and Roddy Piper.
Yeah, then they
Piper,
they fought each other
twice.
Yeah.
Twice. At WrestleMania 1 as a tag team, and WrestleMania 2 as a...
One of them was in a boxing match.
That was a boxing match.
That was a boxing match. All right.
That was... oh, man. Roddy Piper hated Mr. T.
Yeah, those two legitimately
He could not stand Mr. T.
He
at
couldn't.
all.
He really couldn't.
He said no. Fans, while we continue with this piece, feel free to share, like, and comment on our profile, on our show.
Yes.
Bring people into this conversation. Tell them about wrestling news. Tell them about this topic that we got going on. Yes, I forgot, what was his name? I forgot that wrestler's name that slapped the reporter.
What? Is that him, Dave?
Yes, Dr. Dave Schultz. He smacked the reporter because the reporter told him, I'm just asking you a simple question. I think this is fake. And he slapped him with an open hand slap. Like boom, twice.
Oh.
In the ear. Right in the ear. Like, you couldn't get no more of a better target than that.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm like, wow. I'm like, that was a hell of a slap. Like, shit, Dr. David Schultz. Exactly. The man was an excellent heel. He had a great rivalry with Hogan, but they just screwed him up.
Yeah.
Hogan was the baby face. Hogan didn't want to lose to nobody at the time, and that's how Hogan was, you know. But that was another beef that happened between those two. But when you mention Piper and Mr. T,
Vader attacked the reporter.
yes,
right?
because the reporter was being disrespectful to him and the Undertaker. So he flipped over a table and he grabbed him by the tie and said, how about if I kick your ass? After I'm done with him, after kicking his ass, I'm gonna kick your ass. Like, come on. You cannot.
Oh my God.
You cannot at all disrespect these wrestlers. The things they do in professional wrestling.
Really don't understand that these guys really do be putting their bodies on the line. Vince versus all of his losses.
Oh man. Vince McMahon actually won all those lawsuits.
Oh my God!
Surprisingly, they lost. He won all those lawsuits. So
I'm done.
He won them all. He won all the lawsuits. So, but I don't understand what WWE was thinking at the time bringing Mr. T.
My.
But I guess since he was a star, he was definitely the star of the A-Team.
Piper
and
and Superfly did
Rocky, yes, they did. Of course, he knocked him with a coconut in his head.
They did have legitimate beef.
Well, Scott Steiner has rivalries with everybody out of professional wrestling. He hates Hogan. He hates DDP. Hogan has rivalries too. Bret Hart can't stand Hulk Hogan. Legitimately cannot stand Hulk Hogan.
Like, still can't
stand him. He talks shit about him all the time on social media, no matter what.
Oh my God.
He's always saying something about him, and we hear it all the time. You know. And you said I shot a promo with Snooker. Really? To shoot a promo with Snooker, that would be an accomplishment. Awesome. And Jimmy Superfly Snooker was
Steiner versus a
math problem.
That is so messed up.
Wow, man, I'm telling you, you can't listen. You cannot get into rivalries like that and expect people not to make fun of you. You're constantly getting on somebody, but look at the stuff you're doing. You know what I mean?
Kevin Nash versus Hamstring.
This guy's crazy. But anyway, back to the topic at hand.
It's so cold.
You have rivalries like Mr. T and Piper. Now, somebody mentioned Chris Jericho and Brock Lesnar. I understand why. When Brock Lesnar fought Randy Orton, he busted his head open and legitimately with his elbow. And Chris Jericho was pissed off about that because he was trying to. He felt like he was trying to hurt him. You know what I mean?
He legitimately did bust open Randy Orton's head. Yeah, Randy Orton was leaking blood that match. I remember.
He was leaking.
Randy Orton wasn't mad either. I would have been upset if some guy busted my head open like that.
No,
you can see the elbow too. You seen it. It connected with Randy Orton's head. Like that was.
No, he definitely connected with Randy Orton's head.
You seen the impact when that happened.
Absolutely. He definitely saw that. And that really pissed off Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho pretty much wanted to fight him. And he said it. He said he probably would have kicked my ass, but I still wanted to fight him. You know what I mean? Because that's what integrity was back then. You know what I mean? You had to pretty much go for yours.
Orton and Ken Anderson. Who's Ken Anderson?
Yes, Randy Orton and Ken.
I feel like I've heard
Ken
that
Anderson.
name before. Ken Anderson.
Mr. Kennedy.
Mr. haven't heard about him since like the 2007.
Yes, and those two did not like each other. Why? Because one, Ken Anderson got hurt too much.
He did. He was
too stiff in the ring.
He was injury
too stiff in the ring. He was injury prone, and it was not good. It was not good at all. Yes, Big Show and Great Khali. Big Show actually hit Great Khali. Oh man, Arn Anderson and Sid, the stabbing incident. There was an issue between those two that somebody got stabbed. I totally forgot about that news.
Somebody got stabbed.
But it was crazy. Like, they had legitimately beef. Like, back then, wrestling was crazy. Wrestling was wrestling, not this. Yes, they fought, and it was an ugly fight. It was an ugly fight, and
honestly, like, they don't even try to make wrestling look real anymore. Like, they just.
No, it was crazy.
They don't try to make
it was crazy. No, listen. To me, I miss guys like CM Punk. CM Punk and Triple H, the legitimate beef those two had. And CM Punk would drop the massive pipe bombs.
CM like, Punk holy. WWE, I think like CM Punk's last day there when he lost the title to, I think The Rock. There was something going on with that. Like, he was legitimately upset about something.
Of course he was, because, don't get me wrong. They made him the star, but Vince wasn't high on him. He wasn't high on him at all, and that's what used to piss him off the most. That he's like, okay, I do this for you. I'm being the fan of the company, but what's going on?
Right.
You know what I mean? But this is what I'm saying. It's like, now that he is in AEW, now you see him fighting guys like Darby Allin, fighting MJF. The rivalry him and MJF is epic.
Amazing.
Like, the promos they're doing, everything they're doing. Holy shit.
That is a solid rivalry.
Right. My man, take that card. Go ahead. Because oh man, that was crazy. Yep, he was never corporate. CM Punk was never corporate. He wasn't a kiss ass.
Nah.
That's what his persona was.
That's actually what I like about him too. He doesn't do that for anybody. If like he said, like, show some respect. If you're not showing them respect, they're not gonna show you any respect back.
Yeah, and look at here's two rivalries that they mentioned. Brian mentioned Farouk and Ahmed Johnson. Those two had a legitimate beef because they worked. Johnson worked too stiff in the ring, and Ron just had enough of it.
Right.
And yes, Brody versus Jose, the Invader, before he died. That was a crazy incident. That led to a dangerous situation that happened to legitimate beef between those two because of company and the business. That's what happens. And yes, there is too much choreographed today. The one reason that Dean Ambrose wanted out. Exactly. Because you're not...
What is...
Too much planning. Oh, you got to do this way. You got to do that way. Let them be the character the way they were when the Attitude Era was around. That's what I'm saying.
Honestly, I feel like WWE.
Yes, Brody and Luger. Of course, we were just talking about that.
Oh, we were.
No sell.
We were.
Neither one was selling, and
Lex Luger legitimately was upset about that.
Yes,
like
he was very, very upset about it.
He was extremely upset about that. I remember.
Yes, he was horrible. Ahmed Johnson was horrible. I'm sorry. He was not good talent at all.
Agreed.
And I'm saying the truth. I'm not being mean. Nice guy, but
he was not.
He was not good. He was not good talent.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was terrible. Those two, they weren't too fond of each other.
Right.
They weren't too fond of each other, and it was just because when he came back, they did have a beef when he came back to the WWE because he had a kidney problem because Ahmed Johnson hurt his kidney, and he actually got upset about it. So it was some hard feelings back then. You know what I mean? But there was one that not many people talk about: Alberto Del Rio and Cincada.
They legitimately had beef.
Yes, because of what happened when Cincada apparently broke his finger during a match, and he wanted to stop the match. You're kidding me? I understand injuries happen in professional wrestling, but you got Triple H that wrestled through an injury of an arm, a quad, twice, and still finished the match. Come on now.
And it wasn't even like a bad match either. Like, the matches that Triple H really put on were great. So there's really no excuse for that.
No.
You got a broken finger.
Absolutely no excuse.
Okay, I understand a broken finger hurts really bad.
Tape it.
But
tape it up. You tape it up and get right back into the ring.
You know how many wrestlers have probably broken a bone or actually gotten cut open or something and still continued to wrestle just for the fans?
Listen.
You got to do what's best for business. You can't do always what's best for you.
You got to put yourself. You got to put yourself.
I'm not saying just put your whole body on the line to the point where you can't.
See, I was waiting for this rivalry to come up. Austin versus Vince McMahon.
That was a real rivalry.
At a point when Stone Cold took his ball, went home, as many say, him and Vince were not liking each other. Yes, Mick Foley and Flair. I knew I forgot one. Mick Foley and Ric Flair had a legitimate rivalry because Ric Flair was calling Mick Foley a glorified stuntman. That he didn't know nothing about wrestling, he didn't know what to do, blah, 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 blah. Ric Flair didn't like it. Neither did Mick Foley. So these two kicked the shit out of each other in a match in a no-holds barred. And they got hurt. And they got hurt bad. Because of their rivalry. Like, they took that shit personal inside the ring. And yes, Foley had a rivalry with Vader too. Vader tried to break his back. He broke his nose. Like, legitimately broke his nose in the ring.
He punched him in the face.
Punched him in the face. You know what I mean? Austin and Bischoff. Bischoff and those two couldn't stand each other, especially the way Austin fired him.
These rivalries.
You know what I mean? But when you hear these things, to me, in my opinion, the top rivalry of all time was Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. That's my opinion.
Agreed.
But before we go, wrestling fans, please feel free to tell us what was your favorite part of wrestling's last week in Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, and AEW.
What was your favorite part, Dad?
I would have to say the steel cage with Kevin Owens. Actually, the Bloodline.
The steel cage match was not bad.
Yeah, the steel cage match was good with Kevin Owens.
The steel cage match was actually not bad.
And Big E. That was a good match.
That was a really good match.
You know, and not for nothing, Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch had a good match too.
That wasn't a bad match either.
That was an excellent match too.
Agreed.
Yeah, Shawn and Bret are up there, top 3. What is your number 1, Alex? Tell us your top rivalry in your opinion. Jaden, what would be your top rivalry?
For the real beef, right?
Yes.
I would have to agree with you. I would have to say Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. You know, I feel like that was just a crazy beef that went on for a while. That was like a battle between egos. Like, both men didn't want to lose, and then you had that whole Montreal screw job before Bret Hart was leaving. He thought he was going to leave with a title.
Any promo involving MJF.
So
Benoit and Kevin Sullivan. Yes, those two definitely did not like each other at all. Jeff says Bret and Shawn might be my number 1. It's because it was crazy.
It was crazy.
It led for him leaving the company. You know, it was crazy.
And he didn't go off on a good note either.
He didn't go off on a good note. He punched the owner of the company.
That's why they call it the Montreal screw job. Like, Bret Hart got screwed over. Mm-hmm. So that's...
Well, some people say he did. Some people say he didn't.
Honestly...
But there were many talent that did not show up the next night because they weren't happy. They weren't happy with what Vince McMahon did. And Alex says Cheeky Star and Vader won. And Vader helped Cheeky in the beginning. It lasted 30 years. Yeah. Those two, like... Wow. And like Alex said, to this day, they don't. They don't like each other. They don't like each other at all.
Wow.
But he said he still wants to fight him. I remember when I saw that event. Yes, Vince and the Hart family due to Owens' death. Yes. The Hart family can't stand Vince McMahon. The Hart family can't stand Vince McMahon.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. Hogan and Paul Orndorff. Those two didn't like each other at all. How can I forget that one? Old schooler. Like, Paul Orndorff was legitimately jealous of Hogan. And it was vice versa. Wow. Hogan did not want Paul Orndorff to be the champion. It was crazy. I'm like, wow. Crazy. Like, oh, man. But they made a shitload of money. Shitload of money.
Right.
But wrestling fans, our time is up here. Thank you for joining us for amazing pro wrestling news and our topic of the night, top rivalries in professional wrestling, legitimate rivalries of all time.
Yep.
Join us again in another 2 weeks. Let me see, Jaden. Let me see your calendar, my son. I got the encyclopedia,
the Whiz Kid.
The Whiz Kid over here about to get his calendar.
There you go, sir.
Let me see. So we will be back the day before Christmas Eve. So we can wish you guys the 23rd, and then we're going into January. And remember, there is one thing we would like to announce. Our 3-year anniversary special show is coming up next month. We have an amazing topic for you that you guys are going to love. But you guys ain't going to know it. We're not going to tell you. We're going to save that as a surprise. But our next topic, what day was that again, Jaden? December 23rd. We are bringing to you, courtesy of our expert, Mr. Brian Montalvo, giving us the topic at hand, wrestling families. We will be bringing you the world of professional wrestling news along with the greatest wrestling families of all time. Please feel free to share our content on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Please feel free to like and share our content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you, wrestling fans, for watching. From myself, Louis, the Encyclopedia of Pro Wrestling.
And Jay, the Whiz Kid of Pro Wrestling.
And from my lovely director and producer, Yesenia. Thank you, wrestling fans, for watching. See you in 2 weeks. Have a good night.